All right. Welcome. If you can hear my voice, say night to shine. Night to shine. You can hear my voice, say night to shine. Night to shine. Good morning and welcome. My name is Lisa. I'm the Connections Pastor here at this awesome Friendship Community Church. And we are so glad to have all y'all here. See how I did that? Yeah, you Southerners are getting to me in a wonderful way. I'm going to be taking us through what we're going to be doing in terms of serving with Night to Shine. I want to be able to cast the vision of what it is. I want to be able to bring you up on the logistics of how we're going to run the evening and also what team you'll be with. Some of our team leaders are here, and if they're not, yeah, the woohoos are here. And if they are not here, then I will get you kind of at least the high level of what you'll be doing that night with your team. And then your team leader will fill you in for sure once we get there. The biggest reason why we wanted this to be a mandatory training is because the space that we're going to get to use, the American Legion building, is just donating the building to us free of charge, which is amazing. So, but it's tight. It's going to be very, very tight to get all of us and our amazing guests and everybody in there. And so we need everybody knowing what they're doing and not, 250 clowns bumping into each other saying, I'm here. So part of that is we made this a web training as well, because we have some college students that don't have cars that are volunteering that couldn't get over here to Mount Juliet. And so we do have, I'm recording this so that they can use that to ensure that everybody is taking the training and not just telling me that they did. I'm embedding a couple of spy questions in the webinar, and you're going to have to answer them to me in an email so I know that you watched it. Deuces. Okay. So there's going to be a couple times I'm going to pause and talk to you. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. I want to open us in prayer because we have got this amazing opportunity to do something special that none of us, I don't think, have been involved in before, something quite like this. And so we don't ever want to approach doing something this big in our own strength, and it's super tempting because God gifts us to do lots of wonderful things for him. And it's real tempting to just say, thank you, God, I'll take it from here. But that'll go so far. And then God's like, I don't bless your mess. How about we do this thing my way? So let's get in front of him and let's ask him to lead us. Heavenly Father, that's all that we can do. We acknowledge that you are God and God alone. There is none like you. And it is our joy to follow you. God, here's what this type of an event helps us celebrate. That you're the God of creation and you don't make mistakes. And so often in our culture with our limited lens, we may look at our special guests. Society might look at them and consider them less than or not enough. But the truth is you don't make mistakes. And your word says that every one of your creations is fearfully and wonderfully made. So we come together to celebrate that truth and to promote right, godly thinking. That every single person who walks, who has breath, who may be in a wheelchair, but every single person that you create has purpose, has meaning. And so God, were it not for their lives, we wouldn't be here right now. So that's just a glimpse into the heart of God. That everyone matters. And we get to come and celebrate that and to promote who you are through where we're putting our time, our effort, our prayer, and most of all, a reflection of your love. So I thank you for this time. Thank you for the men and women that came out today. There's 70 billion other places we could be. But the fact that we're here, Father, I pray that you would just redeem this time and let it be more than what we thought it was going to be and help us to fall just a little bit more in love with you today as a result of this time. And I pray all this in your matchless name, Jesus. Amen. All right. So like I said, I want to be able to bring you up to speed a little bit on the vision for Night to Shine. I don't want to assume that everybody knows what it is. So Tim Tebow is an incredible man of God. I got an opportunity to sit in on a webinar that he and the executive director for the Tim Tebow Foundation hosted. And it was a completely unscripted session. And every once in a while he'd get going and start talking about his heart for people. And it was like he just preached another sermon. And then another sermon. He's the real deal. So he's putting his money where his mouth is, and the Tim Tebow Foundation is hosting 200 of these proms. They're sponsoring them all on the same night. And so it's just grown beautifully. If you haven't had a chance to see a highlight reel from this, I want to take an opportunity and give you just a couple minutes to see that. So we're going to cue this up and watch. These are highlights from last year's prom.
Our #1 goal is to make you feel like kings and queens. But to be honest with you, every moment of your life, God looks at you like a king or a queen because you are so special.
Dreaming right away. This is the life I made. I don't need a holiday to make me feel this way. Listen up, take a chance, you can sing, you can dance, you can live like it's no tomorrow. Give it time and you find there's a groove, there's a rhyme, move along and the rest will follow. Oh yeah, we shine like stars. Oh yeah, we shine like stars. Like stars.
What's up, everyone? We just landed in South Carolina. We were in North Carolina, had an unbelievable time. But we're super hyped and passionate about showing up at Brookwood. Over 500 special needs kids, over 1,000 volunteers. Once again, I am so humbled and thankful to be a part of it. It's going to be a great night. I'm really looking forward to making some kids smile.
No one can take away the dreams we have today. Yeah, you can go get the flow, don't you see, don't you know that's a life that finds at you. You can shout, let it out, not a care, not a doubt. This is it, let the moment guide you. I want you to know. Oh yeah, we shine like stars. Oh yeah, we shine like stars. Like stars. Like stars. Like stars.
So if you weren't psyched before to be part of this, I hope that you are now. So there we go. All right. So last year was the first year for the Night to Shine proms. They did 44 around the country. This year it has grown to 200 all around the country, all around the United States, also 8 international spots. And they are anticipating, you see there on the notes, 70,000 volunteers and 30,000 participants. So about 100,000 people are getting to be part of this national worldwide party on Valentine's weekend. And so we are just so honored that we get to be a part of this. And we will not be having 500 guests. Oh my gosh, I heard it's like, we got 500 guests. I do happen to know, because I've talked to that church, sort of networked with them. I do happen to know that they have always done a special needs prom, and then they just partner with the Tebow Foundation for some support. So they already had some legs under them. We're just learning how to walk. So, and we're doing great. We will have 100 honored guests at our prom, and about 120 caregivers of them. So about 220 guests, we have about 225 volunteers. So we're partying pretty strong for year one, I think. So it's going well. And I will tell you, we have a waiting list for guests, which breaks my heart, of about 18 people at this moment. And so if we could, we would just keep going. We literally don't have seats, as you'll see. So Anyway, and we're also being very, very intentional. Just because somebody signed up a couple months ago, we are calling, emailing, /stalking them at this point, because we need to be sure that everybody that said they're taking a space is, so we can guarantee we have 100 guests that'll be joining us. So we are working diligently to make sure that that happens. I want to invite you, if you look in your handout, the next note is I want to invite you to come out if you are available on Thursday and Friday, on the day before the prom and day of prom, to help us set up. If you are available at all, if you have people that want to come and help, they don't have to have a background check to help with setup. So if you just know somebody that's asking you, somebody, says any help you need, and if they've got daytime availability, send them on over. We'll be happy to use them. We have a ton to do. The American Legion is free, but it is not party ready by any stretch of the imagination. So we have a ton to do to transform it. And so if you are available, or you know people who are, on Thursday at 8:30, Friday 9 a.m., and we're just going to be doing all kinds of stuff to that building to make it fabulous. So if you're free, make sure to come out and join us. Hey, excuse me just a moment. Yeah, question number 1 for you is, do I like milk chocolate or dark chocolate? And I expect you to bring me some, but it's milk chocolate's the right answer, so just send that to me. Thank you. Sorry. I'm back with you. Those of you that just come in like, what? I'll tell you later. Okay, let's talk about the flow of the event for the night. And I'm going to take you through how we're going to, first of all, use the space, then we'll talk about the timeline. And you notice there it says general team / flexibility teams. If you've ever done any kind of mission work or volunteer work, being flexible is the #1 thing, because we can plan, and when it's go time, the plan may just have to go out the window. We're going to have to be flexible. But here's the one thing I'm going to tell you. Please don't reinvent the wheel yourselves without working it up the chain. Sometimes it's so tempting when you come in and you just see a piece, but if you're not sitting up here seeing how each piece speaks to another, you may not understand why we had to put a boundary on something, or why it doesn't seem to make sense to you, but it might make sense to us. But please bring that to us as leaders, because it may be just a really great idea that we need to implement on this spot, but just don't go rogue, okay? Because I have a way of dealing with that. All right, so it's called prayer and lightning. All right, so just be prepared. We're going to, like I said, train us up the best that we know from all of our details, and then just be ready to be flexible. You may have been on the coat check team, and all of a sudden I'm going to tell you, now I need you out in parking. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? So just be flexible. All right, so the way we're going to use the space, if you look on the last page of your handout, there's a drawing. I'm going to walk you through how we're using the space. Make sure you got the word top and top. So as we come into this drawing, this open space right here is the parking lot at the American Legion. And so our parking team is going to be utilizing this as well as other lots around the area. So that's what this space indicates. At the back of the parking lot is a large outdoor pavilion. And that large outdoor pavilion, we are going to create the pre-prom party in that space. So we're going to be literally wrapping that entire thing in plastic and making it into a tent. And then Sunbelt Rentals is donating heaters so we can heat that space. So that has become party starter right there. So like I said, if you're free Thursday, we're going to need lots of help to make that happen. So a huge pavilion. And so what's going to happen, any place that you see these red dots, that's red carpet for our guests. Some of you, if you go to Friendship, you know, but if you don't go to Friendship, which can we celebrate? We have 220 volunteers somewhere around that area. Over 95 of them are people who don't go to Friendship. And that is so cool. We love that. We love that. Just shows that all of us get what it means to do something bigger than us. And I think God is real happy when his kids are playing together. And it's not about a church. It's about us being the church and being God's people together. But if you go to Friendship, or if you don't, my husband works for, or does as a project, the CMA Fest downtown. He runs all of Nissan Stadium during that week. And so he is a production manager. So this is like his mind on paper, which is fabulous, and we appreciate it. This will help us get there, be able to show up and know what we're doing without us running into each other. We've got it drawn out down to every single thing is spaced for ADA, disability, compliant. So right in here, this, and also this is where this tangent started. This red carpet, that we have is from the CMA Awards last year. So the carpet that our stars are walking on is the same carpet that the stars walked on last year. So we're pretty much the coolest place ever. All right, so as the party starts, our guests will be coming up here to the pavilion. That's where everybody's going first. That's where you will also check in first when you get there. You're going to check in at the pavilion. We are going to have valet parking, which was a great, wonderfully well thought out plan and idea, which really happened when Scott and I were talking after leader training. So our parking team leader, Scott, and he said, I know we're not doing valet parking, and my face was like, oh, yeah. He's like, no, I said, we're not doing valet parking. I said, oh, but I think we are, all of a sudden. And he's like, yeah, I think we are. So, yes, it's going to be so cool. So we do have valet parking on our red carpet. Does it get better? Yes, it does. So the guests are going to drive up here, be dropped off, and then they're going to come into the pavilion. Registration will be here. This area here is a stage. Our guests are not going to have to go up on the stage. That's going to be storage and usable space for us. The flower station is going to be there, but the flower team is going to have flowers, corsages, and boutonnieres. We have that for all of our guests. They will have them on trays, and they'll come down and put those on for the guests. We have magnetic boutonnieres, so we don't have to worry about sticking anybody, and we have wrist corsages for the girls. This area right here is where volunteer gear is going to get stored. So your coat, your change of clothes, which I'll talk about a little bit later. You're going to come to the prom dressed, ready to go, but you will need a change of clothes. So this area right in here, we might have coat racks, we might not. It depends on if we get enough, collected. So the one thing is be sure, don't bring any valuables with you because this area won't be secure. So lock them up in your cars, in the trunk of your cars. Don't leave anything visible because we're not going to be monitoring the parking lot with security. So you'll have room here to store your things. Shoe shine area in this corner, makeup and hair in these areas. So all of this is going to be going on at the beginning of the prom when they first get there. Once they've gotten prettied up, then they're going to get into limos that have been donated for us. We have multiple limos that are coming. And so the guests will get into the limos. The limos will take them on a short ride up around Elm Hill Pike, bring them back around to the front entrance of the building. This is a big covered archway. And when they get out on the red carpet, we are going to be lining this going cray-cray. This is going to be, we call this the paparazzi, the red carpet moment. So we are going to literally, anybody that's not doing something, that's where you're going to start, the prom. And you saw that one girl that was walking like this. Yeah, I was like, yes. Now, there may be some that it's overwhelming to, but we're taking our cues and our training for the people that did the proms last year. And what they're telling us, Tim Tebow even said in our training that you cannot overstaff that area because it is just an amazing moment. He goes, a lot of these folks don't get celebrated, which is wrong, but it's the way our society is. So this is a chance for us to do it right. So if you're not allocated someplace you get to be here, we have military guys and girls, or just guys?
Both.
Okay, guys and girls, men and women in military dress blues who are going to be there to open limos and escort our guests into the prom. They're going to come in a short walkway, very, very short, and right in here, that little squiggly thing, Party Animal Balloons has donated all the decorations for the gig. Like Party Animal Balloons, they're not playing. They made a full-size jet out of balloons, right? So we don't sort of have some people that know how to go, right? So we're so excited to have their support, and so they're going to create all of our archways. They're going to do things out here at the pavilion and take care of all of our table decor. So it's going to be a prom. So cool. They're going to walk in the door. Our guests will walk in the door. Right here is where the greeter welcome team is going to be stationed. That team gets the joy of crowning every guest with a crown or a tiara. We're going to have a photographer, part of our photography team. That's where you're going to be stationed, is right there, one of the team. And so as they're getting their crown, their tiara put on, we'll capture that. They're going to go right from there over to this step and repeat. And then that will be another big photo opportunity. Their caregivers, parents can be with them at that time, or they can already be over in the respite room, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And so this is a photo opportunity with the buddies, with the guests. And then from there, these are our 3 dining areas for guests. These are going to be assigned seating, so there'll be place cards on the table, so we'll know where each guest is supposed to sit. It's pretty strategic as best as we can in that some of our guests, when they registered, it's indicated that they have trouble with loud noises and lights and things like that. This area is a separate dining room. It's a large dining room. We're not going to have speakers or anything in here, so that way I can seat people that have those needs. We also are able to group people that are coming from agencies, same agencies. We can kind of group them together so the caregivers that are with them, they all have that familiar face. Those that love to party, hello, they're right here. So, where my party people at, right? So, yeah, and you. So anyway, that's why we're going to do assigned seating. The other thing that's nice about that is if a guest is having an issue and having trouble and we need to call somebody from the restaurant room, we can tell them right where to go and find their guest without having to go, stumbling and bumbling around. A couple other notes about the dining room. Any place you see the squares by the tables, those are for wheelchair guests. We have 10 to 12 guests in wheelchairs, so we've accommodated the space so that there's enough access for them to get to the dance floor, get to the meals. DJ will be set up in here. One of the guys from Friendship Community Church, Trey McCampbell, is donating his DJ skills and talents, and so we're grateful for him. I also don't want to be remiss in acknowledging Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt is sending the medical unit free of charge as well. So we have got that support from them, which is amazing. Jenna Musgrove works there. She goes to Friendship and made that connection for us. And we are having a paid Metro police officer that will be on site as well. Don't anticipate that need, but we have that coverage. That's here. Restrooms are right here for anybody that's on the bathroom team. Restrooms are right in that area. We also have, it's not drawn on here, but off the activity room right here, we have a room that we're going to switch over for adult changing. So for some of our guests that may be in, diaper type setup, if they need to be able to be stretched all the way out, we're going to have mats brought in and have that space. And also we have some of our wheelchair guests. I've talked to some of the parents that they said after about an hour, we need to take him out and just stretch him. And so that space will be available for that. And so like I said, it'll be right there. The bathroom team will know where it is for sure, so they can help direct if need be. If anybody's needing a full change, their caregivers will be the ones that are doing that. So we don't have to, the bathroom team, don't worry that you have to learn how to do that right quick. Okay, so this area is our dining room. This is where all the food is going to be in these buffet lines right here. We do have a number, I would say probably 10 to 15% of our guests are gluten intolerant. And so we're accommodating that. We're bringing in gluten-free meals and desserts and all those kinds of things to make sure that's accommodated. As much as I can, I'm going to group the gluten-free people together. But again, agency affiliation trumps food, relationship trumps the food process thing. So anyway, that's going on. And then this room is another party room. We do have seating in here for guests and buddies. We also are going to have karaoke in here. We have a woman that is donating the karaoke, everything for us to be able to use. And from what I have learned from listening to the training, you've not been to a party till you've seen this group of people do karaoke. So I'm saying, if you can't find me, I have a feeling I know where I will be. I might sing Proud Mary. All right, so karaoke's going on here. We also have folks from Friendship have a photo booth that spits out photo strips. And so we're going to have that going on with like hats and boas and who all knows what. So that's going to be going on over there, and they can take home that little memento. So anyway, that's kind of the party room. So anybody that likes loud will also be seated in there, because I have a feeling it's never going to get quiet. Yes, sir?
I need you to capture that. That's remarkable.
In the front pocket of my briefcase. Thank you.
I was looking for a power supply. He wrote the ask her. Front pocket.
No, my husband just asked me out on a date. Don't lie. All right. Oh, yes, ma'am. Ready for the guests? Yeah, that's going to be right there in that pavilion. You know where it is, but not everybody else does. So everybody is going to check in. Guests and volunteers are going to start here at the pavilion, and they're going to register So where that registration table is, that's for guests and for volunteers. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Let's see. So anyway, so that's the party right there. And it is going to be an absolute blast once we get there. So let's move back now to looking at the timeline on the front here. We are asking our volunteers to be here at 4:30 to be at, not here. Let me make this very, very clear. Notice that note in bold where the address is, 2864 Elm Hill Pike. That's where the American Legion building is. That's where you show up on Friday the 12th. Don't come here. So 4:30, and the reason for 4:30, I've had a few people asking me that, because our guests' earliest arrival time is 5:30, but with 220 plus people going 25 teams different directions, we need time to be set in place, open it up in prayer, just kind of get centered, drop our shoulders and be ready. I don't want us to be frantic whatsoever. So even if it means that we're just kind of hanging out and enjoying connecting with each other, that's okay. That's a good use of that time. The last thing that we want to do, now I realize work situations, school situations, guys, this is not a Nazi number, okay? So if you need to come in and it's 5 o'clock when you can get there, I just don't want to put 5 o'clock as the everybody arrival time, okay? So if you know you're going to not get there right at 4:30, just let your team leader know that, and they'll kind of monitor on that. Parking. We do have not enough parking in this lot, and so Scott's been working on a volunteer parking plan. We also have, right, if you are on Elm Hill Pike and if the American Legion's on your left, if you go past the American Legion on your right, you'll see this sign, Metropolitan Airport Center. You're not parking at the airport. That was brought up last night. Are we at the airport? No. I don't even know why they call it this, but that's the big sign that you would see off of Elm Hill Pike. That's where you turn and then just park in that area right there. It's a short walk over, but I would say if you're in big high heels, I would bring something comfortable to walk over in. My husband mapped it out. He said it's walking about a third of Opry Mills Mall. So if you can do that, you can make it from parking on over. So suck it up, Buttercup. Okay. So 4:30 arrival. And again, now for some of our guests, I do know for some of our volunteers, that walk would be too much. That's not a problem. Of course, we're going to say park in that volunteer or in the main parking area. So don't worry about that. If that walk really is too much, that's not a problem. Just let us know and we'll make sure that you are able to park close. 5:30, our guests can begin arriving. 6 o'clock, the party starts. So 5:30, they arrive again, remember, to the pavilion. Everybody's starting there. And then as they get ready, then they'll be brought over to the prom from the limos and we'll get going. Some of our guests are in power wheelchairs and they have no ambulatory ability whatsoever. So I've been talking with those parents, caregivers, and we're just either they can bring the vehicle that they brought them in, pick them up and take them around if that's easiest, or we're gonna make a safe passageway for them to take their wheelchair to the front though. We want everybody to have that experience of coming in through the front. So just if you have a guest, if you encounter that, we're aware of that dynamic. So at 6 o'clock, that's when the DJ is gonna be firing up. If we're ready to go before then, he'll be ready, you know, that's a soft start time, but that's what we're planning on. So the party's gonna be going, it's gonna be loud, it's gonna have the music, and the karaoke's gonna be open, the photo booth's gonna be open, all that stuff's going. At 7 o'clock, we're gonna bring it down and get ready for dinner. When we do dinner, we're going to open up in prayer once we get everybody kind of settled, and then we're also going to pipe in a video from Tim Tebow that he wants shown at all the proms. We have a friend of ours that is owns a video production company that does like the country music tours and all those things. He's bringing in the monitors for us, and their tech is going to set it all up for us. We're also going to be able to pipe over to the respite room. I didn't talk about this yet. Part of what you'll see when you come into the pavilion, this is going to be pipe and draped off all around. This is going to be the dining room for the caregivers. So this is where they're going to be hanging out. We have a comedian speaker coming in during their dinner hour, which is after our guests eat. So they'll be hanging out in here. And we're also going to be piping a live feed from the dance floor out here. So they'll be able to see the party while they're in here hanging out. So, and they're free to come and go as much as they want. But so that's another perk that we have. After dinner, we're going to do, before we start the party, like dial it way back up again, we're going to do a special person dance. So many incredible stories are happening as we're planning and working through this process. And one of them came from the registration form where the family said, would there be any way possible we can do a daddy-daughter dance? Because she's not going to be getting married. And I would love to have that special time with her. It's like, I lost it. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was sitting at my desk. I'm like, yes, I think we can make that happen. You know, oh my gosh. But that's precious because if that's their story, that's somebody else's story. And so we're going to do a special person dance. It won't just be, you know, specific daddy-daughter, but it will be a time like a caregiver and a, you know, their guests that they have a special connection with, whatever. So one of our supply items is Kleenex. And so we're going to be ready for that. And so anyway, so we'll do that at 7 o'clock and give time for that. Our photographers are going to be going nutty, making sure we capture that for them. And then the party's going to dial back up and just go cray-cray until 9 o'clock. So that's kind of the timeline and the flow. One note is not on here. Because we've gotten communication from several of the parents that they need to be with their child while they're eating, they just need to monitor, for safety's sake. So what we're doing on the respite room timeline is their dinner hour is going to be 8 o'clock. And I'm going to communicate this with them so they can bring a Scooby snack if they need to hold off. But 8 o'clock for the respite room, and that's when the comedian and the speaker comes to be kind of their date night type time. Another family we've been working with, on the registration, we asked if the guests would need help getting clothing for the prom. And so we've been working with some of these guests. We had a church that contacted us. They'd done some kind of a fashion show and they had dresses, they told us. And so they told me 30 dresses. And so I sent Tasha over, who's on staff with me. She went over to pick them up. And what I had made this really great little idea from some other people giving us dresses. So we took pictures and we made this Google Doc online store. So like the guests could see the dresses and we grouped them by size. They could click on the size and it would go super cool. And I'm thinking 30 dresses. Yes. She goes, they had 87 dresses. Oh, oops. I don't know. But Tasha, like, I didn't find out there were 87 dresses till she was done setting it all up. And she's just awesome. So she didn't whine, complain, or moan. So anyway, we've had this really cool resource that we've been able to offer. I was talking to one family, and she was looking at a dress for her daughter, and then she just commented to me, oh, I got to still find something for me to wear. And I was like, we have dresses coming out of our ears. You are more than welcome to come and get a dress. She goes, yeah, because really since we've, and I mean, no complaining whatsoever. She's really, since we've had her, we've just set all that aside. We don't go anywhere. So it's like, we not only get to bless the guests, but I mean, they're caregivers. This is such an awesome opportunity. Yesterday, thank you so much. Yeah,
Plug it in for you.
I would appreciate that. You give me that, excuse me. Time out. This right there. I apologize. I'm sort of meeting myself coming and going lately, so I forgot to bring my charger. Thank you, friend. Yesterday, we had a couple girls come in to try on their dresses that had utilized the online dress store. So mom is a single mom, getting her master's degree, owning her own business, and has 3 children with special needs. So these 2 sisters are coming to the prom, and they're 11 months apart in age, and so they both have Downs. And so Katie and Elisa, when you see them at the prom, you're going to know who they are because they ended up in matching dresses. The cutest thing ever. I mean, and Katie is a bundle of, hello, I am here to party. She is so awesome. And so at first, I mean, how wild that in those 87 dresses, there were 2 that were matching in the sizes that they need. Now, almost in the sizes they need. Katie's doesn't quite fit, but Becca Levy, one of our teenagers, is a seamstress and a creative girl, and she is giving her time to do alterations on these dresses, which is so precious. So anyway, so Katie's in here. Alyssa comes out. She's kind of quiet. Katie is not. And so they were trying to decide if they were okay with having matching dresses, and they were not okay with that. So I was starting to work on coming up with some other size and options. Anyway, all of a sudden it comes over them, this might actually be cool if we are matching divas. And so they got that all worked out, but then we needed to pin Katie's dress. And so Tasha and I were pinning, and then all of a sudden it's like, it washed over Katie like, well, I don't want pins. And we're like, well, we had to have pins, you know, just like bam, it like fell over her. And what I came to understand, she thought she was going to go to the prom with pins sticking out, right, you know, and her mom's like, you just got to explain this. And, you know, she's like, Katie, it's okay. So then anyway, just that's good stuff, you know, that we did. So when you see them, you will know that they are fabulous. They have like black and white with like rhinestones. They're fabulous. So beautiful, beautiful things happening for our gentlemen. If they didn't have clothing to get ready for the prom, Street Tuxedos partnered with us, and they are giving a discounted rate of $55. Normally they're $115. So they're $55. And then when I was telling our leadership team about that, I think Scott was the one who popped his hand up. It just said, I think we can cover that $55 among all of us. So any of those guys that want to go get a tux, you let us know, we'll cover the bill. So our guys are going to be able to come in tuxes. The church is covering, church members are covering that cost. So we're going to have a well turned out crew who's coming to the prom. And I have to tell a lie. I made a story on myself. So I told the leaders this story, but the other night I had to make 45 phone calls to the people I hadn't heard back from yet to make sure on the guests. And talking on the phone is like, it is my kryptonite. I hate talking on the phone. And so anyway, I'm like, I'm gasping by the end of this thing, you know? So I'm on this toward the end. That's the only thing I can give myself a break on. But I'm talking to this mom. She's like, so what do the guys wear? And her son's in a wheelchair. And I said, look, you know, some guys are coming in tuxes. Some are coming in suits. Dress pants, we're just suggesting that they don't come in jeans. However, I know that, you know, some people have a texture issue. So if he does need to, that's okay. And look, clothing is optional. Wait a minute. Let me back up just for a second. It's not optional. What I mean is, we were laughing so hard by the end, we just moved on. But that's for the post-prom party. Woo, yeah, mama. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. All right. So while everybody has their clothes on, the party's going to go till 9 o'clock. And then this is why you need a change of clothes. To volunteer for Night to Shine, you're there from the time we get there until the time we're done shining. Okay, there's so much that we need to do to put the American Legion back, and with 200 plus of us doing it, it's going to get done. If there's a cleanup crew of 10, we'll never do another Night to Shine. I'll tell you that right now. So that's what this part of volunteering. Now again, not everybody's physically able to, of course. You know, total understanding for that. But those who are physically able, don't tell me that you're emotionally not. So if you would, please bring a change of clothes with you into the prom when you're checking in. That's what that place up on the stage for volunteer. Make sure it's in a bag. Don't bring loose stuff because there's going to be a lot of people with materials. And bring sweatpants, bring whatever, bring comfy clothes. But I don't want you having to go back to your cars because I'll lose you. Okay? So we do have a security team. I just added that to your duties, Bill. None shall pass. So, all right, so make sure you bring a change of clothing. And what I'll tell you is this. You can tell we put a lot of time into the logistics and the plan to make this so that all you have to do is just show up and have a good time. So when we get ready to do our loadout, so to speak, team leaders will be wearing these shirts. Friendship people don't wear this, okay? All the friendship people have these shirts. Friendship people, don't let this be your after party clothing, okay? So I just want our team leaders will be in this. When you find somebody in one of these shirts, they'll be able to tell you what to do in the area where they are, okay? So just look for that. All right, speaking of show and tell, while I'm at it, yeah. When our guests registered, we wanted to send them something to just, you know, invite them to the prom. If when you went to prom, you got those pretty invites and things like that. Well, the Tebow Foundation had created sort of like a one-page little flyer thing that you could use for that. And then Miss Ashley Lee got a hold of it. She's like, oh, no, no, no. Never do. So this is what our guests received in the mail when they got registered for the prom. And so it's so beautiful. And then on this little foldout has the logistics of all of the where to go when you get there, what to do kind of thing. One dad, when we were following up about clothing, he's like, I wish I had videotaped her opening it. Because oh my gosh, you know, they just didn't have any idea that it was going to be so over the top. And I've gotten that feedback from several people about how special it was to get something so beautiful, so for them, so customized. I'm telling you, this is who God is. God loves us lavishly. That's so good. Okay, next. Where am I at? Oh, yes. Yeah, I haven't forgotten you. So the other thing that you need to send to me is, what is the date for Night to Shine? Okay, so I'm looking for milk chocolate and the date for Night to Shine, February 12th. Okay, deuces to the second power. All right, there's that. All right, so let me just kind of scoot through this because I keep forgetting to advance this. Personal belongings, lock them in the car. Oh, cell phones. You are more than welcome to bring your cell phones in and just be capturing the night and posting away, because everybody is signing a photo release form. So you don't have to worry about any of that. And we want that. We want you to be able to have that joy of sharing with the world this really cool, beautiful thing that we get to do together. So cell phones are more than welcome. You're more than welcome to bring those in. Change of clothes, we talked about. Everybody's saying to help tear down. Just want to make sure we didn't overlook that note. And we always want to leave things better than we found them, because this is the American Legion has been great to work with. Okay, identification, that's the next thing on our note here. Buddies are paired with a guest one-on-one. There's a different training for the buddies. There's a different time to get together with them. They're coming today at 11 o'clock. But the buddies are going to have lanyards. So if you see somebody in a lanyard, they are a buddy. On the front of their lanyard will have their name, and on the back of it has emergency contact information for their guests. So if anything starts happening with their guests, they can immediately use their cell phone, call and contact, and ask them to come over for assistance. It also has things on there like their food allergies, the gluten-free, all those kinds of things. So at a glance, they're getting that. We've already paired our buddies and our guests at this point. And so when our buddies are leaving, they've got like a printout about their guests, so they can be praying for them already, and they can be kind of getting up to speed on the things that they like. For instance, some of the people love Elvis music. So guess what you're going to be hearing at the prom? Trey is already all about it. He has got his set list lined up. I don't know if he'll work this one in, but one of them really loves Barney. Imagine. Oh my gosh, I will be doing the hokey pokey to Barney. I don't even care. So anyway, there's just all kinds of cool things that we're going to get a chance to take part in. So that's one piece of identification. We are so protective of our guests and of this event. The American Legion, there will be other people using, like over, I don't have my thing up, but in on your drawing, any of the grayed out areas, those are parts of the building we're not using because the American Legion has other activities going on. This is the kind of event that people would want to just wander into and see what's going on. They cannot. You know how diligent we've been about background checks. Tasha has done an amazing job of running that down for us. Every single person has to have had a background check, or you cannot be in that space. So all of us will be getting wristbands when we check in at registration. All of the caregivers, parents, caregivers, they also will be wristbanded. So unless somebody has on a wristband or a lanyard, they cannot be around the prom areas, okay? And that's what our security team is going to be monitoring and ensuring, because it's incredibly vital that we can just relax and enjoy the night without wondering about anybody being there who's not supposed to be. So that's your identification piece. Don't take it off. Make sure you leave it on there. Each of our guests, that next note under identification, each of our guests is going to have an ID number. Now, the way this is happening, well, when people drive up for parking, when they're dropping off at the pavilion, when they're very first starting, they'll be directed to go there by the parking team. Once they get back there to the pavilion, we've numbered and labeled all of the parking spaces that we can use. So they're labeled by a letter for the row and a number for the space. That becomes our guest's ID number for the night. Okay, so if the valet team, once they pull up, they're going to know what spaces are available. They're going to be monitoring that. They're going to know that we're ready. The next available valet space is A5. Okay, and so we're going to already have pre-made A5 label for the car, label for the keys, and coat check label. So that same ID number that they get for valet is also for their coat check. And everybody in that family group has the same number, which is cool, because then when they get ready to go, all their coats are in one spot, and we're not digging through a bunch of numbers. So A5 would be their number that carries them from valet to coat check. We might label the gift bags. We don't know for sure whether that's a need yet. So if we do, that's going to be their label number. Also, what will happen with that number, the buddies, we're going to write that on the back of their tag. So if somebody drops a you know, the little claim check to get their stuff out or whatever, not a problem. We'll know exactly the number that goes with that guest. So we've got a good check and balance system. So that if you see that kind of numbering, some of your teams that makes a difference to, some of you it doesn't, but that's what that code is. All right, I'm going to quickly go through. Let's see, that's for buddies. I want to quickly go through a few things here. We're hitting this more intentionally with the buddies as far as working with guests and using right language. But I think it's important that all of us have that good exposure as we're working with our guests, and just some information about this. So when we talk about people first, what we want to always make sure if we're talking to each other about our guests, just even to identify them. We don't ever want to put the label or their diagnosis before we identify that it's a person. Okay, so it's that gentleman over there with Downs. Okay, we don't want to say that Down syndrome kid. See the difference? Okay, it's identifying what's more important. This is a child of God. Okay, that's number one. And so it's dignifying. So make sure just kind of put that in your mind. With people first. Identify the person, that gentleman, that beautiful girl over there in the black dress, you know, whatever. Use people first language. And then moving on. So some terms to avoid as we are identifying with our guests. And I can send out this PowerPoint. I'm going to do a follow-up email to everybody. I'll put this recording in there just in case it was like you wondered if you caught something correctly, you'd be able to go back and look at this web meeting. Plus also just any other little details, I'm throwing a lot at you. I'm living and breathing this, so everything makes sense to me, but you're hearing it for the first time maybe. So within that, I'll put the access to the PowerPoint too if you just want to get your mind around some different terms. But so these are just some different terms that we want to avoid using when we're talking with each other. I think more so this team will be, it's more about when we're talking to each other or identifying with our guests. We want to just, God doesn't make mistakes. He's not suffering from. This is his condition. Because I could say that about each one of us. I suffer from something if I word it that way. You just can't see it. So why do we have to call it out in somebody else, right? So we want to avoid those kinds of words. So again, key concept is just remember, identify the person first, and remember that first and foremost, they are a child of God. Feelings and emotions just like us. And even if you don't know if they can understand you, because we have several that are nonverbal that are coming, you don't know if they can understand you. So when you are talking with them, you talk to them. And their caregiver will cue you in very quickly on, he can't understand you, but they still want you to talk to their loved one. Okay, they're a person. And so we just address the person that we're talking to. And I think, what's it on my slides? Yes. So if you're going to offer assistance to a person with disability, wait until you know that, or ask, can I help you? Get, to the whatever looks like they're having that trouble with. Address the guest just as you would any other person. And especially this one, don't alter your voice and talk in baby talk. Okay? Just use simplified language. Maybe speak slowly, but you don't need to, don't baby talk. They catch up on that. I'm going to tell you, okay, I'm going to confess. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to. Yesterday when Katie and Elisa were in here, I had on my Night to Shine t-shirt. And Katie was all, doing her Cinderella in a black dress kind of thing. And at the moment she stopped, she says, Night to Shine. She read my shirt. I'm like, okay, so you're fabulous. I didn't realize you could read. And so that was just like a cool moment for me. Like, don't underestimate what people are able to do. So don't alter your voice or talk baby talk. And acceptable to offer a handshake, because even if it's just a touch, some of our guests don't do well with touch. Their caregivers are going to cue you in on that. It's a small number that have identified that. Our buddies will know that for sure. So keep in mind, the buddies are going to be paired up before you would be working with our guests, and the buddies will have that information, and they'll be able to kind of run interference. Like our guest just doesn't like to be touched, and they'll share that with you so that we don't offend anybody. But that's a pretty small percentage that we've seen on that so far. This one's important. Don't lean on anybody's wheelchair. That's their personal space. Okay, so that'd be like you crawling on somebody's lap unasked, right? So don't lean on their wheelchair, give them their space. As far as I know, we don't have any service animals coming. That there could be a surprise, but don't interact with them without asking permission if they do. If there's a visual disability, we do have some folks coming who are completely blind. And so just make sure that you identify yourself, your name, and why you're in their space. I'm here to help you with whatever it might be. And be patient if they don't understand you. Don't get frustrated. Don't raise your voice. Again, that would be absolutely amazed if that ended up happening. Some signs of overstimulation that we see listed here. Again, our buddies are going to know what to look out for with that. Our caregivers are going to be on staff. Several of the caregivers are not going to leave their guests' side because they're just their degree of autism is to a place or whatever it may be that they know that they just need them for comfort and safety. So they're going to stick right with them. We'll still pair one of our buddies with them just so they can host them at that point. They know the flow, we know the flow, so it just lets them be part of the party too.
Lisa.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that's not on there would be stimming, especially with the people with autism, or maybe, just they may be, wringing their hands or doing, something
Okay.
with stimming. So, that's what they do.
All right, so just to look for, is that a sign that they're getting into distress, or that's just a normal? Okay, gotcha. And that's why we have that quieter room, that dining room that's quieter, because even if somebody's not seated there, you can still take them over there and get away from the noise, which will be good. So that they'll be redirecting at that point. And just maintain composure. Never go off alone with any of the guests for any reason. Always make sure that there are multiple people with, if for any reason you need to go somewhere. I can't imagine, there's not going to be any inch of this place that doesn't have a person. So I don't think that's going to be a possibility, but we just still want to say it. And make sure we maintain physical boundaries. I mean, if you saw in the highlight video, there's a lot of hugging and loving going on, right? But it's just, not to overstep that back. Nothing that would indicate this more than friends, right? And so again, it almost seems silly to say it, but rather say it and never use it than wish that I had put that out there. So that is getting us ready to shine. All right. Are there any specific, any questions that would affect everybody, not your specific team, but is there anything that I've said that maybe needs a little more clarification? Yes, ma'am.
I was looking at your timetable, the 5:30, 6:30 it starts, 5:30 makeup and hair. Do you have just so few, or do you have so many that are doing makeup and hair? Because 30 minutes coming in, registering and being ready, to me seems like.
Right, that's a good question. So on the timeline, guests can begin arriving at 5:30, the party opens at 6. We're considering that pre-prom area as part of the prom. So at whatever time they arrive, their prom experience is beginning. So whether they're actually in by the dance floor and all those kinds of things, we're considering, and they are too, to get to come and to be a princess and a prince that's getting the shoe shined and all those kinds of things. So it's the whole prom experience actually is starting at 5:30. When we say the party starts, we just mean that DJ's ready to go, because we know it's gonna take a little bit to go from prom site 1 to prom site 2. And that'll be a rotating time. We have, right, exactly. Nothing will happen that they would miss until 7 o'clock. Well, for sure, we've got everybody in by then. And we have 14 hairdressers. I forgot to give a shout out to these group. Genesis Hairdressing College, this is a field trip for them. So they're bringing their students over and their instructors, and they're gonna be doing donating all their time for hair. So we have 14 hairdressers on site. And we're going to have 8 makeup artists. And makeup artists are not going to be doing full face. They're just going to be adding color. So that's not going to be like a 20-minute encounter per guest. And then the shoe shine area. So we're staffed well to move quickly, but at the same time, and I appreciate you asking that question because it's good for clarity. The prom starts the second they hit the pavilion.
I know we'll see this as we get to the facility, but how do these rooms communicate to one another? I see the grayed out areas they're not our areas, but is there a patio back here, or is a sidewalk the only access between the 2 red carpets? How does that work?
There is, you want to address that? The question is how does the respite room communicate or connect to the remainder of the building, our usable party space?
The
This is my husband, Art.
yeah.
Do you want me to go back?
Yeah.
And I'm curious too, I mean, are the rooms open to each other fairly much, or is it just one single door opening?
We'll take a look here. You'll be able to see it better on your drawing. So if you look at it, you just kind of reference where I'm pointing and look at your drawing. So up here is the pavilion. It's completely closed in with plastic, and the only openings will be here, where the guests enter when they arrive and then exit to the limousine coming around front. And then there will be a little opening in this corner here, which will allow the caretakers to walk 15 feet to a side door. Actually, it's probably, this room is actually down here a little bit because there's a door right here. A little sidewalk, they'll be able to walk in and go here. So there's just a single door that allows that quick entrance, but that's really not the entrance to go from this space over. Volunteers could use that door instead of walking all the way around. There is a set of bathrooms outside. It's right about here. Volunteers can use that. We'll probably have some heaters in there because it is an exterior room, but it's decent. But that'll be here. So that'll be kind of access, kind of a quick backstage entrance, if you will. In this main room, this is a very small doorway. So coming in from the main entry, that's going to be a really crowded point at the beginning. So all volunteers that need to come and go should come through this back entrance. This main room has basically 3 entrance exits. One being our main entrance for the guests. One here that separates the ballroom from the activity room. This is a set of 4 folding doors. It'll open up to about 10 feet wide, and it'll be wide open. And we'll keep that open unless we have an issue with sound between the dance floor and karaoke, in which case we'll close it to a single door or something like that. But this will always remain open. There's a double door here. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do here because these doors open and kind of create a block to easily go in and out. I may just take those doors off the hinges for that day. We'll see what they say. But it's just double doors, so you'll be able to go back and forth very easily. So all 3 of these rooms are very wide open to each other, and it's very easy to see in and out. Does that answer the question?
So the white area you were talking about with the bathroom, that's in their building. It's just not a.
It's actually a detached building.
Okay.
It's a separate bathroom that is for all their outdoor activities. A pavilion. They have the horseshoes and stuff back here.
Okay.
The back half of this room is there's a fireplace back here. It's kind of enclosed. We haven't really thought of it. We may have the ability to put our personal things in here as well. This space is going to get pretty tight real quick, but we'll give you that information when you show up. But there's that space. There's a sidewalk over here that you go to this door, and then that leads right over to the bathroom. It's over here. There's a set of stairs over here too that go upstairs. I think there's a chain across it. You don't need to go upstairs. We're all on one level.
Thanks.
Anything else on the space?
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
One note also, when we're done with everything, so we're taking doors off hinges. Like I said, please show up on Thursday and Friday to help us make this party happen. When you get ready to leave, though, at whatever time, do not go to that remote parking space by yourself at that time of night. So either a parking team member goes with you or another volunteer walking with you, but we want to make sure that everybody is safe as you're walking back to your vehicle at that time of night. So it'll be important to sort of self-monitor, but you definitely want that in place. No walking by yourself. All right. Okay, at this point, what I want to do is kind of get you connected to your team leaders who are here. I'm going to do that first, and then those that you're here and your team leader is not, because we have 3 different identical trainings at 3 different times. I will answer the majority of your questions as a group, and then we'll be done. All right, so I see our activity director room. Sonia Shockley is here. So if you are with activities, Sonia, if you would stand and just go through that door to the cafe area, we'll just kind of break up our groups that way. So if you're on activities, you can go ahead and go with Sonia right there. The welcome and greeter team is Jen Eddins. So if you're a welcome greeter person, if you'll go with Jen, you can just find a space that's good. Yeah, you do at your Saturday party, people. right, I'm going to tell you bye for now, but just remember, 2 questions, 2 right answers. Milk chocolate, February 12th. See you there. I'm such a dork.